Well, I think we start with the big news. A lot of people are talking about Hamas wanting to seek removal from the terror list or the fiscal cliff or whatever. But I think we start with the big news here that North Korean archaeologists have discovered an ancient unicorn lair. Their Department of Social Scientists in North Korea have claimed that they have found now the lair of the unicorn that was ridden by King Tungmungyang.
I love King Tungmungyang.
He was.
It's one of my favorite kings.
What year was he from? Do you remember?
Gosh, it was a while ago.
2700
BC.
Yes, exactly right. I didn't for a minute there. I thought you didn't know who.
No, of course I knew.
It's located now. The actual lair is located 200 meters from the Yangmong Temple in Moran Hill in Pyongyang City.
Yeah, Pyongyang City.
I love that. It's great.
I have a vacation home in Pyongyang City.
Really?
Do you really?
Yeah. There in Pyongyang.
I have a timeshare.
The trouble. Can I tell you something? The rich man's trouble. Now, do you go to a communist country for vacation? You're like, I was going for the unicorns, and then I found out that it was a communist country.
Right. Exactly.
So there is, and here's what is really amazing is this is how the archaeologists found this unicorn lair. Was they found right there, just outside of the city, a rectangular rock by the cave, which was conveniently carved with the words "unicorn lair."
Well, you wouldn't want a unicorn lair and then not have
not
the
carve
unicorns,
the words,
not carve the words into a stone. That this is where you live, right?
The unicorns. I mean, they had to take. You wouldn't have a bunch of unicorns. They would take the little chisels and the hammers, and they would.
They don't need chisels and hammers. They have the horn in their head, and they just carved it into the stone.
Is that what
with
they
that.
did?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It would be ridiculous, Glenn. Why would they need hammers for?
They're also magical creatures.
I've never been to a unicorn lair before.
Doesn't it say something about communism, though, that all the unicorns chose to live there?
Yes, I
mean, they could have lived anywhere in the world. They're magical. They chose to live under the ruler.
We're denying that unicorns even live. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. As ridiculous as it seems, this is what happens when you have a communist or Marxist country. What happens is your media goes so far awry for so long, and your people become so uninformed that they actually start to believe in unicorns again. Now, how far are we? How many years down the road are we before somebody is teaching our kids about unicorns and they'd believe it?
About
look
a year.
at all this stuff.
Maybe next year.
But it's December.
We're pretty far down the road. I'd say, not early next year. I'd say
like fall.
Yeah, maybe September. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I thought it was ridiculous to say January, but fall is much more likely.
Yeah. Now, see, I'm trying to be reasonable about it.
I mean, how many things do we have that we're like? I was having dinner with a friend of mine last night. We hadn't seen each other a couple of years. And he was over at the house, and we were talking, and we were just talking about how I had said, 4 or 5 years ago, there will come a time where everything you thought you could trust, you can no longer trust. Everything that you thought you knew would no longer be true, and up would be down, and liquid would be solid. We're there, aren't we there?
Oh, yeah, we're there. Yeah.
Isn't the next step unicorns?
Yes. About September of next year.
All right, good. All right,
Would it surprise you that much, really, to see that in a textbook or one of these C-scope things that they're teaching unicorns in school?
Oh yeah, not only would they be being taught in school, anyone who said there's no such thing as unicorns would be a science denier.
Right.
They would be like vilified.
Hang on just a second. I don't think that we're close to unicorns unless there was a way that we had to preserve these giant swaths of land that were all for the ancient unicorn, because humans couldn't go on that land because somehow or another we had either killed the unicorn or we were stopping the unicorn from coming back. The only way we would teach it is if we had to protect it.
Yeah, if it's a way to protect resources from the evil capitalists, sure, there'd be
the
unicorns.
Evil human.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even capitalist. The evil human.
Well, the evil human would be trying to exploit the resources, and that would, of course, be through capitalism.
It was Theo, too, that killed unicorns in the first place.
Really? Was it?
Yeah.
That's
Are they
science.
deep under the crust of the earth right now? The unicorns?
Yes, they are.
Well, they typically hang out in areas that are several million degrees. Is that right?
A thread just under the surface of the earth. It's incredibly hot, several million degrees.
I love the way you say incredibly hot, because that's exactly the way you said it, too. Incredibly hot.
Incredibly hot. Hotter than the surface of the sun, as a matter of fact.
How is that possible, Al?
I don't know.
How can it be possible that under the crust of the earth, it's hotter than the sun? Because I don't know if you've checked. Wouldn't our feet be hot?
Yeah, I think they would. Yeah, I think they would be.
I mean,
quite
you want
warm.
to talk about the reason why the ice shelf is melting? I don't know. It's hotter than the sun just below the surface. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The sea would boil away. It would be like the seabed would be a pot on the stove.
Yeah, we've never really spent a lot of time really analyzing. As many times as we've talked about it and played it, we've never really analyzed the repercussions of the Earth being several million degrees just under the surface. I mean, that's
It would be. It would be like putting
bad.
a pot on the stove.
It would be bad. Yeah.
I would think if it was hotter than the sun. I mean, first of all, how did it happen? How did we get this nice crusty crust on the top of that boiling hot magma?
Yeah, it should be a molten planet, right? It should be.
If it was that hot.
Say probably it's going to be gas at that point, right? I don't even think it
even
could
gas.
be molten.
Yeah. No, it would. It'd probably be gaseous.
All I know
at that
is
point.
it would be incredibly hot.
Incredibly hot. Just
2 kilometers or so down, in most places, there are these incredibly hot rocks because the interior of the Earth is extremely hot, several million degrees.
Several million degrees.
Not just a million, but several million.
degrees.
Incredibly hot.
Extremely hot. Several million degrees.
Play it again, man. What a dope.
2 kilometers or so down, in most places, there are these incredibly hot rocks because the interior of the Earth is extremely hot, several million degrees.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
Several million degrees.
In these places where they're the incredibly hot rocks, do they? Is that by the unicorn lair? Do we know? Is that in the corner of the cave?
We're gonna
where
have
the
to check that with Al.
Where the unicorn shepherds pour a little hot water on top of those rocks. It's like a sauna for the unicorns. It's incredibly hot.
It's incredibly, extremely hot. Several million degrees. Just below the surface.
So the unicorn story comes out. We have, of course, that it's incredibly hot, several million degrees just under the surface of the earth.
In the King James version, anyway, unicorn is by singular is mentioned 6 times, and unicorns plural is mentioned 3 times.
Now I have the King James version. I don't recall seeing unicorn or unicorns in my copy. Is it mentioned in crayon or colored pencil in yours?
Black and white.
No, apparently Job 39:9 says, "Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow," which of course means unicorns did exist.
It does say that most translations translate that as ox, is what I'm reading. But it looks like there's one that says unicorn. Mm-hmm. And it looks like it's the King James, which is, maybe the biggest one. I mean, that's the one you look at, right?
Mm-hmm. So, let me rephrase. I believe the Bible as it has been correctly translated, and I believe this would be an incorrect translation.
Now, there's also 3 mentions of the Trix bunny rabbit. Is that in your translation as well? I have that 3 mentions.
Really?
Mhm.
Can you give us the scriptural reference
says,
for that?
And the wild
Trix bunny-
oxen will fall with them, the bull calves and the grape bowl. The land will be drenched with blood, and the dust will be soaked with Trix, and the Trix bunny rabbit will also be there. Now, that's controversial translation.
Now, a lot of people
Wow.
don't know that after the mark of the beast, the beast with his with 7 heads, all 7 heads, suddenly turn and say, "Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids."
It's true.
And that's,
people
you
don't
didn't know that was the mark of the beast. Yeah.
Wow.
Some of the unicorns open up your skin with their little horn, and then they roll tricks right underneath your skin. But okay, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it. Let's go to